Throughout my working life, I've tried to learn a lot about plants, really because I see them as a fundamental of landscape. We can't be thinking about landscape without thinking about plants. My name's Jane Irwin. I'm a landscape architect. I have worked from a small office in Sydney. We work across a wide field from public domain design to some housing projects and then to gardens as well. Really, we're generalists, but we're designers of outdoor spaces in the way that architects are designers of houses. Recently, we've been involved in the refurbishment of the gardens at Government House. We've really focused in on the Eastern Terrace. It's the highest profile garden in the whole gardens. Government House is part of the Botanic Garden and Domain in Sydney. It sits up on top of a hill overlooking the harbour. It's a very beautiful place. It's open to the public most of the time. The circular beds have got a really formal structure. So we wanted to really pay homage to the heritage nature of the garden and have this as a cloud bed, and it's to be quite simple. So the main structuring elements are the domes. So we've got westringias, correas, and then there's also casuarina green wave there. And these can all be clipped to form the same sort of formal structure that the box hedges and etc. can do. And then coming up between those, there's a softness of the kangaroo paws and the eremophilas. And then in the front, there's a native geranium, which is going to form a softer, much more perennial kind of border. So we wanted to push the thinking about what a contemporary garden could be, using wildflowers instead of English perennials, and using Australian plants in a formal way. So thinking behind this garden was then to reflect how people are thinking now and what the current concerns are. We've got concerns about climate, we've got concerns about indigeneity, and about being more aware of and respectful of our landscape heritage. We're also thinking about things like pollination, how birds and bees are actually interacting with these gardens. This little cluster of plants has got the paper daisy and a plant called Linum marginale. You don't see it used very much in gardens, but it's a great plant for that wild perennial look. It starts with these lovely little blue flowers and then keeps a seed head through green through to this little papery ball. And then that complements the straw flowers so well. The straw flowers come in all of these different types. There's bracteanthus, xerochrysoms, rhodanth, and they just bring so much colour and vibrancy to a garden. So you can have a daisy, but it's an Australian daisy. All of the different places I've worked has helped me to see gardens in many different ways. A residential garden is a very personal thing, and it really needs to be something that you can live in and to keep going as well. It's gardens. The thing about a garden is it's not static. They're curated spaces. They're changing all of the time. So what we do as a designer is really just to help set up that framework. One of the projects we worked on about 6 years ago was a coastal garden in Sydney's eastern suburbs. When we came into this garden, it was partially done. They'd done some excavation which revealed some sandstone rock outcropping, and there was the beginnings of a pool and the beginnings of a terrace and sort of nothing in between. So we were really inspired to then work with the natural occurring geology. It sits sort of 60 metres up on top of a cliff, and so it already has the bones of something. These pieces of stone are offcuts from quarry blocks. So they're the pieces of the stone that are on the outsides of the block, and they cut them off before they slice the stone up to make paving. So we use them because they're relatively cheap, but they're also really robust, and they fit in with a place like this, which already had bits of stone poking out. And so we wanted to see how we could make a wall or make the change of level without it being too prissy. And so these just feel like they come straight out of the earth. The client for this garden, Claire, has been really involved in the process all the way through.
Jane, these orchids have just been incredible.
Well, that's their natural home, being a rock orchid, but I'm really surprised that they've done so well, because you'd think that with the wind, the coastal wind coming off here, that they wouldn't thrive so much, but they're kind of like a cornerstone of the garden there. The planting in this garden grew from an idea of a seaside ecology. There's poa, which is a really great plant because it's enduring. It needs to be cut back every now and again, but it tends to spread through the garden and establish itself really well. And then there's a more delicate grasses like dicalacne with the little plumes of silver on the top of them. And then everything picks up this extraordinary light from the east that comes off the ocean. So this garden, I think, is really expressive of place, which is one of the things that we really try to do.
And then there are these yellow buttons that you put in.
Still got the little dichondra in there.
Yeah, it does.
Then I see you've also put in some scavola here.
And then this cushion bush has done very nicely, hasn't it?
I think for Australian ecologies to come to the fore in our future of thinking about planting, public and private, we need to be thinking about a different aesthetic and appreciating a little more wildness and a little more softness in our gardens.